Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly challenged yourself? Not just tried something new, but did something that scared you, something that made your heart race and your palms sweat. For most people, the answer is not recently. And that's a problem. Your comfort zone is not your friend. It's not a place of safety. It's a prison disguised as security. It whispers, stay here, you're doing fine. But fine isn't enough. Fine is the enemy of great. Think about this. Every person who has achieved something extraordinary had to step outside of what felt safe. The greatest minds, the biggest innovators, the most inspiring leaders, they all had one thing in common. They were willing to be uncomfortable. Because discomfort is where growth happens. Look at your own life. The moments that shape you, that built your character, were they easy? Or were they the moments that pushed you, tested you, made you question yourself, but ultimately made you stronger? Your comfort zone is the enemy because it keeps you small. It tells you that risk is dangerous, that failure is final, that trying something new is too hard, but that's a lie. The truth is, the most dangerous thing you can do is stay comfortable, because comfort leads to complacency, and complacency leads to stagnation. And stagnation, that leads to regret. So today I challenge you. Step out. Do something that scares you. Make a decision that forces you to grow. Take the risk you've been avoiding, because on the other side of discomfort is everything you've ever wanted. Comfort feels good. It feels safe. It gives us a sense of security, a feeling that everything is under control. But what if I told you that comfort is actually a trap? A silent, invisible cage that keeps you stuck in the same place while the world moves forward. Most people don't realize they're trapped. That's what makes comfort so dangerous. It doesn't scream at you. It doesn't shake you awake. It whispers. It tells you that you're doing fine, that there's no need to push harder, that stepping outside of what's familiar is too risky. And over time, that whisper becomes the only voice you hear. Think about this. When was the last time you felt truly alive? Not just existing, not just going through the motions, but genuinely excited, driven, and passionate about something. The reason so many people struggle to answer this question is because they've been stuck in their comfort zones for too long. They've chosen ease over challenge, familiarity over growth, routine over risk. And what happens? They stop evolving. The problem with comfort is that it creates an illusion of progress. You feel like you're doing enough because things seem stable, because life isn't chaotic, but stability doesn't always mean success. It often means stagnation. When you stop challenging yourself, you stop growing. When you stop growing, you start falling behind. And the worst part, you don't even realize it's happening until it's too late. Take a moment to look at the most successful people in the world, the leaders, the innovators, the game changers. None of them got to where they are by staying comfortable. They stepped into the unknown. They embraced discomfort, risk, and uncertainty because they understood one fundamental truth. Growth and comfort do not coexist. Every time you avoid a challenge, every time you turn away from something difficult because it makes you uncomfortable, you're choosing to stay the same. And when you choose to stay the same, you're making a decision to settle for less than you're capable of. Life is not meant to be lived in a straight line. It's meant to be full of ups and downs, victories and failures, challenges and breakthroughs. But when you cling to comfort, you remove the possibility of anything extraordinary happening. You may not face major failures, but you also won't experience major success. You may not deal with crushing disappointment, but you also won't feel the exhilaration of achieving something incredible. So many people look back on their lives with regret, not because of what they did, but because of what they didn't do. The chances they didn't take, the risks they avoided, the opportunities they let slip away because they were too afraid to step outside of what was familiar. Comfort tricks you into believing that you have time, that you can always take that leap later. But the reality is, later never comes. If you don't take action now, you'll wake up years from today wondering where the time went and why you're still in the same place. The key to breaking free from this trap is simple, but not easy. You have to start seeking discomfort. You have to do the things that scare you. Have the tough conversations. Take the risks. Try something new, even if you might fail. Because failure isn't the enemy. Comfort is. Failure teaches. Failure strengthens. Failure moves you forward. But comfort keeps you stuck. The choice is yours. You can stay in the warmth of what's familiar, living the same day over and over again, or you can step into the unknown, embrace discomfort, and unlock your full potential. One path leads to regret, the other leads to a life of purpose, passion, and growth. Which one will you choose? Think about a time in your life when you truly grew as a person. Was it when everything was easy, when life was predictable, and when you felt completely comfortable? Or was it during a time of challenge, uncertainty, and even fear? The reality is, growth never happens in comfort. It begins the moment you step into discomfort, the moment you push beyond what feels safe and familiar. Discomfort is not the enemy, it is the catalyst for transformation, yet most people spend their lives avoiding it. They stick to routines, they choose paths that feel secure, and they resist change because it feels risky. But growth and comfort do not exist in the same space. If you want to become better, stronger, and more capable, you must be willing to lean into the discomfort that comes with change. Look at the moments in your life that shaped you the most. Maybe it was moving to a new city. starting a new job, or taking on a challenge that felt overwhelming at first. At the time, it probably felt uncomfortable, even terrifying, but as you pushed through, you adapted, you developed new skills, new perspectives, and a level of resilience that wasn't there before. What once seemed impossible became second nature. That is the power of discomfort. It forces you to evolve. Every great achievement in history was born from someone's willingness to endure discomfort. The most successful leaders, innovators, and visionaries did not get to where they are by staying within the limits of what felt safe. They took risks, faced rejection, and embraced failure. Not because they enjoyed it, but because they understood that the only way to reach their full potential was to challenge themselves constantly. It's easy to look at people who have achieved great things and assume they were simply more talented, more gifted, or more lucky. But in reality, what separates them from the rest is not their natural ability, it's their relationship with discomfort. They don't run from it, they seek it. They understand that the struggle is where real progress happens. Think about physical growth. If you want to build muscle, you can't just lift the same light weights forever. You have to push your body beyond its limits, breaking down muscle fibers so they can rebuild stronger. The same principle applies to personal growth. If you never challenge yourself, if you never put yourself in situations that stretch your abilities, you will never expand your potential. But discomfort doesn't just build strength, it builds resilience. Life will always throw challenges your way, and the more you expose yourself to discomfort voluntarily, the more prepared you'll be when difficulties arise unexpectedly. You develop the mindset that says, I've been through tough times before and I came out stronger, I can do it again. Most people let discomfort control them instead of learning to control their response to it. They feel fear and retreat. They experience failure and give up. But those who understand that growth begins at discomfort don't see fear as a stop sign. They see it as a signal that they are moving in the right direction. They don't fear failure because they know it's part of the process. Imagine what your life would look like if you stopped avoiding discomfort, if you leaned into every challenge knowing that it was making you stronger. If you took every failure as a lesson instead of a defeat, how much further would you go? How much more would you accomplish? The difference between who you are today and who you could be is found in the level of discomfort you're willing to endure. The sooner you embrace that truth, the sooner you'll realize that everything you've ever wanted is waiting for you just outside of your comfort zone. Comfort feels good. It gives us a sense of stability, a sense of control. It makes life predictable, and for a while that can seem like a good thing. But there's a hidden danger in too much comfort: complacency. And complacency is where potential goes to die. When you become too comfortable, you stop pushing yourself, you stop striving for more, not because you've reached your full potential, but because you've convinced yourself that where you are is good enough. And that's the problem. Good enough is the enemy of great. It makes you settle. It makes you believe that effort is optional, that growth isn't necessary, and that playing it safe is the best choice. But in reality, nothing great has ever come from a place of comfort. Look at any major success story, whether it's in business, sports, or personal development. The people who achieve the most are never the ones who choose comfort. They're the ones who constantly push themselves, who challenge their limits, who refuse to stay in the same place for too long. They know that comfort breeds complacency, and complacency kills progress. Think about this. The moment you stop learning, you start falling behind. The world is always moving forward. Technology is evolving. Industries are changing. New skills are being developed. If you're not growing, you're getting left behind. But when you're too comfortable, you don't notice it happening. You think you're fine because nothing seems wrong. But just because things aren't falling apart doesn't mean they're getting better. Complacency doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow process. It starts when you stop challenging yourself, when you start avoiding discomfort, when you settle into routines that require no effort. At first it feels harmless. You tell yourself, I deserve a break, I've worked hard. But then a break turns into a habit. A habit turns into a lifestyle, and before you know it, years have passed, and you realize you're in the exact same place you were before, except now the opportunities you once had are gone. The danger of complacency is that it makes you comfortable with mediocrity. You stop setting bigger goals because you convince yourself that what you have is enough. You stop taking risks because the fear of failure is stronger than the desire to grow. You stop seeking challenges because challenges mean discomfort, and you've built your life around avoiding discomfort. But here's the truth. Nothing worthwhile comes easy. Growth requires effort. Success requires struggle. Every major breakthrough in your life will come from stepping into the unknown, from pushing past your limits, from choosing discomfort over ease. And the moment you stop doing that, you stop progressing. If you look at the people who have achieved the most in life, they all share one trait. They never allow themselves to get too comfortable. They never reach a point where they say, this is enough, I can stop now. They are always learning, always improving, always finding new ways to challenge themselves. That's why they continue to rise while others remain stuck So the question is, are you getting too comfortable? Have you stopped pushing yourself? Have you convinced yourself that where you are is good enough, even though you know you're capable of more? If the answer is yes, then it's time to wake up. Because complacency doesn't just steal your success, it steals your potential, your passion, and your purpose. Don't let comfort trick you into settling for a life that's less than what you're capable of. Push yourself, challenge yourself, keep moving forward, because the moment you stop, you start falling behind. Success is never handed out freely. It's not something you stumble upon or something that just happens by chance. It is earned, and the price you have to pay, risk, because risk is the currency of success. Every great achievement, every major breakthrough, every story of triumph has one thing in common: the willingness to take risks. People who succeed at the highest level are not necessarily the smartest, the most talented, or the most experienced. They are the ones who are willing to step into the unknown, to put something on the line, to bet on themselves when there was no guarantee of success. Risk is uncomfortable, and that's why most people avoid it. They want the reward, but they don't want the uncertainty that comes with it. They want success, but they want it with a safety net, without the fear of failure. But that's not how the world works. Nothing great comes without risk. You don't build a thriving business without risking time, effort, and money. You don't become a leader without risking criticism and failure. You don't grow as a person without risking discomfort and change. The people who never take risks stay exactly where they are. They remain in the same job, earning the same paycheck, living the same routine year after year. Why? Because they are afraid to lose what they already have. But in playing it safe, they sacrifice something much greater, what they could have had. Every major success story is built on risk. Think about the greatest entrepreneurs, athletes, and visionaries. Every single one of them took a leap of faith at some point. They invested in themselves when no one else would. They made decisions that had the potential to fail, but they moved forward anyway, because they understood that without risk, there is no reward. Look at any company that has changed the world. The people behind those companies, they took massive risks, betting on ideas that others doubted. They put everything on the line for a vision they believed in. And that's why they succeeded, because they were willing to do what others weren't. But here's the thing about risk. It doesn't always pay off immediately. Sometimes you take a chance and fail. Sometimes things don't go as planned. That's the part that scares people the most. But failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the process. Every setback teaches you something. Every mistake makes you better. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is that successful people don't let failure stop them. They take the lesson, adjust their approach, and take another risk. If you never risk anything, you will never gain anything. Staying in your comfort zone might protect you from failure, but it also guarantees that you will never achieve anything extraordinary. You will never know what you're truly capable of. And at the end of your life, the greatest regret won't be the risks you took. It will be the ones you didn't take. The world rewards those who are willing to take a chance. Those who go after what they want even when the odds are uncertain. Those who risk failing because they believe success is worth it. So ask yourself, what risks are you avoiding? What dreams have you put on hold because you're waiting for the right time? There is no perfect moment. There is no guarantee. But the people who succeed are the ones who act anyway. Because risk is not something to fear. It's the price you pay for a life of greatness. And the only real risk is never taking one at all. Resilience is not something you are born with. It is something you build. It is not a gift. It is a skill. And like any skill, it is forged through experience, through challenge, and most importantly, through discomfort. Discomfort is the training ground for resilience. It is the pressure that strengthens you, the resistance that forces you to grow. Most people avoid discomfort. They seek the easiest path, the least resistance, the safest option. And in doing so, they deny themselves the very experiences that would make them stronger, because resilience is not built in comfort. It is built in struggle. It is built in the moments when you feel like giving up but choose to keep going. It is built when you face uncertainty, fear, and adversity, and instead of running from them, you stand your ground. Think about the strongest, most capable people you know. They didn't become that way by living an easy life. They became that way because they faced hardship and overcame it. They went through difficult times, painful setbacks, and moments of doubt, but they kept moving forward. And with each challenge, they became tougher, more determined, and more resilient. Discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that you are growing. Every time you push past your limits, every time you do something that scares you, you are training yourself to handle adversity. You are teaching yourself that struggle does not break you, it builds you. The more discomfort you willingly face, the more prepared you are for the unpredictable challenges that life will throw your way. Look at athletes. The best ones don't train in conditions that are easy. They push themselves beyond their limits, training in extreme conditions, lifting heavier weights, running longer distances, enduring exhaustion and pain. Why? Because they know that the discomfort of training prepares them for the challenges of competition. If they only trained in comfort, they would never be ready for the real test. The same applies to life. If you always choose the easy route, you will not be prepared when life gets hard. And life will get hard. There will be setbacks. There will be failures. There will be moments when things don't go as planned. But the people who thrive in those moments are the ones who have already faced discomfort. They have already struggled, failed, and pushed through. They know that pain is temporary, that obstacles can be overcome, and that every hardship is an opportunity to become stronger. Think about your own life. The moments that shaped you the most were not the easy ones. They were the times when you were tested, the times when you doubted yourself, when things felt impossible, but you didn't quit. And because you didn't quit, you became more resilient. You developed the mindset that says, I can handle this. That is what discomfort gives you, the ability to face challenges without breaking. Most people want resilience, but they don't want to go through the process of building it. They want strength, but they don't want struggle. They want confidence, but they don't want to experience failure. But the truth is, you cannot have one without the other. Strength comes from struggle, confidence comes from overcoming fear, resilience comes from stepping into discomfort again and again until it no longer controls you. So instead of avoiding discomfort, embrace it. Seek out challenges that push you beyond your limits. Take risks that force you to grow. Put yourself in situations that test your patience, your endurance, and your determination, because every time you do, you are building the kind of resilience that will carry you through anything life throws your way. Discomfort is not your enemy, it is your greatest teacher. And if you are willing to learn from it, there is no limit to how strong you can become. Comfort feels good in the moment. It gives you a sense of security, of stability, of control. But what most people don't realize is that comfort has a hidden cost. And that cost is regret. Regret doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't come knocking at your door the day you choose to play it safe. It sneaks up on you over time. It's the quiet realization years down the road that you settled, that you had dreams, ideas, and ambitions, but you never acted on them, that you stayed in the same place, doing the same things because stepping into the unknown felt too risky. And by the time you realize it, the opportunities are gone. The doors that were once open have closed. This is the real danger of comfort. It convinces you that you have time, that you can always take the leap later, that next year, next month, or even tomorrow will be the right time to start. But later is an illusion. Time keeps moving whether you take action or not. And the more you delay, the harder it becomes to change. Ask anyone at the end of their life what they regret most. And you won't hear them talk about the things they did. You'll hear them talk about the things they did, the risks they didn't take, the chances they let slip away, the dreams they buried because chasing them seemed too hard. Because when they look back, they realize that staying comfortable didn't protect them. It robbed them of the life they could have had. Think about your own life. What are the things you've always wanted to do but haven't? What dreams have you put on hold because they feel too risky? What opportunities have you passed on because you were afraid to step outside of what's familiar? Now imagine looking back 5, 10, or 20 years from now, realizing that those things never happened, not because you weren't capable, but because you chose comfort over courage. The reality is, staying comfortable is not a neutral choice. It has consequence. Every day that you choose ease over effort, familiarity over growth, and safety over challenge, you are making a decision to stay the same. And in doing so, you are closing the door on the person you could become. Comfort tricks you into believing that you're avoiding pain. But the truth is, the pain of regret is far worse than the pain of effort. The temporary discomfort of pushing yourself, of failing, of facing uncertainty, that kind of pain is fleeting. It comes and goes, but the pain of regret, that stays with you. It lingers. It follows you around, whispering what if in the back of your mind. Success, growth, and fulfillment are always on the other side of discomfort. They require risk. They demand that you step into the unknown, even when it scares you. And yes, you might fail, you might stumble, you might experience setbacks. But those things will make you stronger. They will shape you into someone who is capable, resilient, and proud of the life they've built. The question you have to ask yourself is this: when you look back at your life, will you be proud of the risks you took, the challenges you faced, and the growth you experienced? Or will you be haunted by the realization that you played it safe, that you stayed comfortable, and that as a result, you never reached your full potential? The choice is yours. You can either face the discomfort of growth now, or the regret of inaction later. One will make you stronger. The other will leave you wondering what could have been. Which one will you choose?